Holy cannoli. Daredevil Born Again Season 1 is done, and man, was it a wild ride. And boy, did that season just have so many amazing, deep, and significant things to say. Here are my 5 favorite Easter eggs that have deep and symbolic meaning. Welcome to Philosophy All Along. I'm a professional philosopher, and I like to use the tools of philosophy to help me understand things on a deeper level. Okay, so there are big spoilers ahead. If you haven't finished the season, go finish it, and then come back, talk with me about these episodes. Okay, so my first favorite Easter egg is in episode 6. You see Fisk tear his jacket, right? He's putting his jacket on. Vanessa is helping him with it. It has a whole lot of symbolic meaning here. Like, it means that like he is kind of coming maybe back into the violence, but I think it also is a suggestion that he's kind of maybe falling out of his physical shape. He's getting out of shape. He's not really the powerful and strong kingpin that he wanted to be and that he was previously, right? That the mayor life is kind of starting to push him down, and he's not being able to move as quickly and as fast as he wants, right? He's having to do things like listen to children singing in schools. But the reason why this is such a great Easter egg is because usually in the past, his jackets had been reinforced, right? The same guy who makes Daredevil's suit is the same person who was lining Fisk's suits with like knife-proof and bulletproof material. So for Fisk to be able to tear that jacket, it means that he must not have had that special lining there. And so it shows how what's happening to Fisk is he's getting away from his roots, right? His roots of violence, his roots of being the kingpin, and that's why he's unhappy. Okay, so the second Easter egg is in the captioning. Oh my goodness. So if you watch the closed captioning, so you only notice this if you watch the closed captioning. So if you watch the closed captioning of the show, you will notice that the Punisher, Frank Castle, depending on just circumstance, he's either called Frank or the Punisher in the closed captioning. So you'll see him, he'll be talking with Matt or something like that, and it'll be Frank. But then it'll shift to when he's going out and doing his murdering, he's the Punisher. So this is particularly powerful and significant in the final episode in Straight to Hell, because they're in that cutscene at the end. You see Frank kind of in that prison, right? And he's kind of suckering this guard, I think Anthony, in. And you see him talking, and it's saying Frank, right? He's saying, oh, you're from Jersey, blah, blah, blah. But then as soon as he grabs that man's arm and he starts talking or even just grunting as the Punisher, it says the Punisher on it. And this is symbolic to me of the fact that Frank really is two people, right? He is both Frank Castle, the man who loves his family, and he is also the Punisher, the man who, without any sympathy, without any compunction, without any compassion, will kill you. Oh, and something else really interesting about this is the fact that, yes, also Matt has the same closed captioning issue, right? So when he's under certain circumstances, he's Matt in the closed captioning, and then other circumstances, he's Daredevil. But what's really interesting about that is that makes sense. He's wearing a mask, right? And he knows that, and he's aware of it, and he's aware of that dichotomy. But Frank, on the other hand, rejects masks. He makes fun of people who use them. So it shows that there's a tension there in terms of his own actions, but also his own thoughts and the way that he thinks about himself. He's like, no, I'm not really these two different people. I'm always this person. But the closed captioning is suggesting differently. So there's a way in which he's almost a meta level character in where he's in tension with the creators of the show and the writers of the closed captioning, where he's saying, no, I'm always me. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't have these two aspects to me. And they're saying, no, really, Frank, you do have a problem. So that's just so fascinating to me. Okay, number 3. So the first episode is titled Heaven's Half Hour. So this title itself is an Easter egg because, yes, it is a reference to the book of Revelations, right? And to this idea that there was silence, right? After one of the seals is broken and the apocalypse is about to begin, right? And clearly we have reached that moment at the end of the season where Fisk has taken over and we are now in hell. The horns of hell have blown, right? The demons have come out. We are now in the apocalypse. But also it's such a beautiful little Easter egg because it's also a reference to an Irish toast, where when someone dies, you say, I hope that you are in heaven a half hour before the devil hears. And the whole idea is saying, like, I hope that your soul is so light that you move so quickly into heaven that the devil doesn't even notice. It takes him like a minute. Oh, that guy went because you're such a heavenly person. And so the reason why that's such a great Easter egg is because it's probably something that Matt, an Irish person, said at Foggy's funeral, right? That he, or at least thought to himself, this idea of him sharing this toast for Foggy because Foggy was such a great and wonderful person. In a lot of ways, his conscience. Okay, number 4. So the second to last episode is called Isle of Joy. And I've mentioned before that that is a reference to Arthurian legend. It's a reference to Lancelot, right? The most famous of all the knights. Basically, he had been insane and he goes and he retires to this island where he's just having a great time. And there's just like all these maidens who are trying to spend time with him. It's just lovely and beautiful and perfect. When he leaves, the whole island collapses and it goes straight to hell. So that title of the episode is a great connection to the final episode, right? The second to last is connected to the final episode because Isle of Joy becomes what? Straight to hell. It all collapses. Now, this is perfectly connected to the fact that we see Matt turned upside down at the end of Isle of Joy, right? And the song that's being played at the end of that episode begins the next episode, Straight to Hell. So we're seeing that they're directly connected, and that the collapse of Joy, the collapse really, I think, of Fisk's kind of perfect illusion, it's going to collapse. But also what happens is during that collapse, it allows hell to come up, both in terms of Fisk is rising up, but also so is Matt. And that's why he's turned upside down. He's gone from the end of the first episode of the season where he's at the bottom looking up at Fisk to now he's been placed in a heavenly position. And why is he placed in a heavenly position? Because he was willing to give up his life for the Kingpin, right? He was told by Poindexter that that's what good men do. That's what heroes do, right? You know, save their enemies. So when Matt is asked by Frank why he would do that in the last episode, why would you save that guy? And Matt's like, I don't know. The reason, I think, is obvious, because that's what heroes do. We're told that by the show, and that's what allows Matt to be born again. It allows him to rise up, and he's turned upside down from being there dying on the ground to now he's a heavenly figure. He's been born again. Okay, my final Easter egg. Okay, so this one was actually pointed out by my spouse, who's absolutely brilliant. And so when you watch the final episode, you will see that in one of the last scenes, you see Fisk and Vanessa having dinner once again. They've gotten close together, right? They were far apart. They've gotten close together. That's something that Screen Crush and Ryan Airy point out, right? That it's kind of like Citizen Kane, where Citizen Kane the couple becomes farther apart. Here in this show, they start becoming closer and closer together by the end. And what are they sitting in front of? They're sitting in front of Rabbit in a snowstorm, right? Which you see over and over and over again, visualized in different moments where people have white, or they're wearing white, or there's a white wall or something like that, and then you'll see blood splatter on it. So it's restated over and over and over again. But who is sitting where in this image, right? So you have Rabbit in a snowstorm, and then you have Vanessa and Fisk sitting there. So Fisk is sitting on the wider area of Rabbit in a snowstorm, and she's sitting almost directly in front of the blood splatter there, wearing red, and he's wearing white. And so what I love about this is they become reflective of Rabbit in a snowstorm. They are a reverberation of that painting, and that painting is also a painting of them, right? So it's a cyclical gesture. Fisk himself becomes Rabbit in a snowstorm. He's wearing all white, and she is the blood splatter on him. To me, this is symbolic. This is a representation of the idea that Fisk is the consolidation. He is the collection of all of his traumas as a child, because Rabbit in a Snowstorm, remember, is the connection to that wall that he would look at while abuse was happening in his family. So he is that. That is who he is at his core. He's the collection of his traumas. And she is the action, right? She is the blood splatter in his life. So she is what motivates and moves him. And we know that, right? Back in season 2, there's a scene where Fisk is talking with Matt as a lawyer. Matt is just a lawyer in there, and Fisk is revealing himself and saying that he would do anything for Vanessa. Vanessa is everything to him. She is his action. She moves him from just being the collection of traumas to giving him reason to do. She's the reason in a lot of ways why he comes out of the shadows in the first place, right? So she gives him a form of personhood, where instead of just kind of being almost like a blank canvas, a state of abuse, she gives him direction for his violence. So she is the blood splatter in his life. Okay, so those are my 5 favorite deeply symbolic Easter eggs. If I missed something or you want to add one, please add it in the comments. If you enjoyed this, please like, please subscribe, hit that bell, get alerts. Please find me on your favorite podcasting. You can find me as Philosophy All Along. And if you disagree, throw something in the comments too. I love to get to talk with you all. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful day.